Welcome to Focus. I'm Pearl Alley, your host, and we've got a great show for you planned tonight. But before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that we have Senior Scene magazine. We're listed in here. If you want to find our advertisements in here, the days that we're open, and it's usually Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and that'll tell you who's going to be on the show. And also in the Senior Life magazine, our newspaper here. So if you're interested, pick one up. They're free, and you'll find out who's going to be on the show. And we have Cynthia Hartman here tonight. And welcome to Cynthia. Welcome to Focus.
Thank you, Pearl. It's wonderful to be here.
And tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing.
Okay. Well, this evening I'm going to show you how to do a coiled wire component.
And you do all kinds of jewelry.
I do stringing, I do beading, I do wire work, I do silversmithing, I do cabochoning and faceting.
Wow. Now, how long have you been doing this?
Well, the real sophisticated stuff I've been doing for about 25 years, but I've actually been beading since I was a brownie. Remember brownies?
Yes, and I've been beading too. And I have no comparison on what you're doing, but yes, I can do that. But yeah, it's fun, isn't it?
It is fun. It is fun. It's very relaxing for me. It's very creative. And I've enjoyed rocks all my life. So to be able to put the rocks into items that I can wear is just
wonderful.
A real pleasure for me.
And you're going to be doing a demo here for us tonight, too. So
I am.
Before you get started on the demo, let's talk a little bit about your pieces and show some of your pieces. We've got some beautiful things here. Tell us a little bit about this piece here. I don't know if you can zoom in on here.
Okay. That is called my beaded bead. It's a series of seed beads that are strung together to form a hollow bead. So it's a beaded bead.
That's absolutely gorgeous.
And I tend to recycle metal also. And I've been an antique jewelry collector for many, many years. So a lot of the pieces that you see with gold, I recycle gold fill that I've had for probably 30, 40 years that I've put into my own pieces today.
Oh, that's wonderful. And we've got some other pieces here, too. Maybe we can zoom in on some of these. This one I absolutely love. Now, that's jade, you said?
Yes, the leaf is a hand-carved...
Let's see if I can just move this one out of the way a little bit so you can see that.
It's a hand-carved piece of jade with a brass coin, and aventurine is the bead that's in the center. And you'll see that the necklace chain itself is a hand chain piece that I did with aventurine, caged aventurine.
This is just gorgeous. And I think you have to zoom up on this. Can you zoom up on some of the other parts of it? On the necklace part? That's just fabulous. On the chain, can we go up a little bit on the chain? I may have to, I don't know if you can move up on it. There we go, right here. This is what she's talking about, the caged pieces.
Right, that's a caged piece. And the other stone actually has the coil wire that I'm going to demonstrate tonight.
Oh, this is wonderful. I can't wait to see how you do this. It looks easy, though. Is it easy to do, or is it complicated?
Doing something for the first time is never easy. Mm-hmm. But if you keep on doing it, it becomes easy.
Well, one of the things I learned about coiling is that if you make a mistake, I just like to play with wire and do that. I've always played with wire and coiled things, but if you don't get it exactly right, boom, the whole thing, you can't, it crimps it, and it's really hard to get it straightened out again.
Well, wire is temperamental.
Yes.
There are times when it's very forgiving, mm-hmm. and then there are times when it's not going to move for you.
Yes.
So you just have to learn your way with it.
Mm-hmm. Now, the final piece there in the end, what is that?
That
stone?
is amethyst chips with faceted carnelian.
Oh,
These are two of my favorite stones.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
And it's actually got copper spacers in there. I like to use copper a lot. Mm-hmm. It's a conductive metal, and I think that it serves itself well with the red tones and stones.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love the colors of that.
I'm actually wearing the bracelet for that.
Oh, good. Well, maybe we can zoom in on your bracelet as well. And then I'd like to get started on doing some of this demo work. And we'll look at some more work, your work in a little bit.
Okay.
And that's your bracelet. Let's show your bracelet there. There we go. Now, the ring that you have on also is incredible. Here, let's just lift your hand like that. There you go.
Okay.
And that ring now, tell us a little bit about the ring.
That ring is a Mauvais pearl. It's actually a black Tahitian pearl.
Wow.
And Mauvais are formed, instead of growing round like most pearls, they attach themselves to the shell side. Mm-hmm. And they grow round on one side, so when they're harvested, they're actually flat on the bottom, but mounded on the top.
Oh, and they make great stones for jewelry.
Absolutely.
Because they're already fitted for that.
Absolutely.
And
look at the size of that. That's probably a 24 millimeter.
That's fabulous.
And to get a pearl, well, you wouldn't find a pearl that large.
And your bracelet, let's see if we can just zoom in on that bracelet. Now that's the same thing we're going to be working with tonight.
Right. This right here is a copper piece. These are the copper components, the twisted wire, coiled wire. Mm-hmm. And this is the carnelian and amethyst piece that matches the necklace and earrings.
I love it. I love amethyst. That's one of my favorite stones.
It's a beautiful stone.
So let's get started. What do you say, Cynthia?
Okay. I'm going to be using a 24 gauge wire. It's a little bit thin, but it works really well with the coiling, especially when you bring the coiled pieces together. So there are many ways you can do this, but I like to use knitting needles.
Oh, great.
Because for me, they're very maneuverable. The coil slides off it easier, and it just works for me. So what I did was I folded it in half. I pick a mandrel, whatever size knitting needle you want. This happens to be a 6 millimeter. So I folded it in half. I put it on the needle, and I begin to wrap. And I just carefully wrap.
So you're only wrapping one
side at a time.
Okay.
One side at a time. And if you notice, I'm wrapping them as close together as I can get. But again, in the beginning with wire, they're a little bit more forgiving, so you don't have to be exactly right next to each other, because I have a secret that I can show you that we'll do when we're all done coiling this.
Now, you've got many different sizes here, so you probably have all kinds of size knitting needles, right?
Yes, I actually have a huge collection of knitting needles.
Right, how convenient that is to just...
Okay, so now I've done
one half. And then they pull off real easy, too,
right.
So that makes it nice.
So I've done one half. Now I'm going to actually pull it off, turn it around, restring it, and start wrapping in the same direction, doing the same thing.
Now, why wouldn't you just go from the other side before
because
turning it
I'm
off?
right-handed.
Okay.
And it's not easy for me to do this bottom part going in a different direction.
Okay, good.
It's just my preference. They actually have machines or little machines that will do this for you, but I find that there's a certain amount of inspiration that comes with every time I coil.
And meditative.
Yes,
it's very
absolutely.
meditative. Now, when you're doing that, if I can just ask you, why wouldn't you just start at one end? I'm going to be the devil's advocate here. Why wouldn't you just start at one end and work it? Is there a certain reason to fold it in half and do it that way?
Well, the first reason is that it's easier because the wire isn't quite so long at the wrapping end.
Okay.
But also, we don't wrap evenly by nature. So by turning it around or by folding it in half, we get the same amount of tension evenly on the coil itself.
Okay.
So if you notice, I've got this, it's coiled. I leave these longer pieces just because it's easy to maneuver.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze it all down to the end and push it all together.
Oh, look at that.
Now...
Yeah, those needles will work great.
Right. So you can't do that with a machine.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'll twist, sometimes I won't, but basically what we have now is very even coils.
Wow. And
I just slip it off. So now there's our first coil.
And you have to make, how many, 5,000? No.
Well, let me explain something. It can be used just in this state, just the way it is. You can use it for spaces. If you notice, I've cut a few pieces from my previous pieces. You can use them as spacers. You know, you can put it on I like to use wire. But, you know, you can put in a bead.
Now, for necklaces, is it good to use wire for a necklace, or does it hang okay that way?
You know, that's part of the design. You have to design for the wire. So you make sure you use the right bead, a flexible bead. You make sure that you have the right size holes in the bead and the right size wire in between the beads and the spacers. So see, you can use it just as it is as a spacer. See? And you
That's
can continue
gorgeous,
on doing that. So
and you can cut those any length you want, right? You
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's one way to use it. Now, what I'm going to do with this piece is I need to cut another piece of wire. Actually, I can use this piece right here. And I'm going to string this. Actually, I'm going to cut these long ones off.
Now, when you're doing this, you have a plan when you're doing it, or do you just make a bunch of things and then try to put it together?
Both.
Or both? Okay.
What I will do often is I'll just like be sitting watching television, and rather than do nothing, I will just wrap. Or I will do Viking knit. I will do something where I don't really need to pay 100% attention to it. So I will often have like 2 feet of coil. And as I come up with a design, if I'm going to use the coil, I will then cut the coil to the pieces that I want.
Okay.
So, all right, so we have this long coil. I'm going to string another piece of wire through it.
Okay. I'm
going to take another knitting needle. Now, it depends on the size I'm looking for. Actually, I'm going to do this first.
Let me get you back here.
Thank you. Okay, so I've wrapped the end around a couple of times. I'm going to string it on.
Now, what exactly are you going to be doing here?
I'm going to make this coil right here.
Okay, great.
This coil.
Okay, so that's this little round. Let's see if we can see it right here.
This is a coiled wire.
A coiled coil.
Right.
Very good.
So I'm holding on to the end, and I just hold on really tight and push.
Oh, my goodness.
And it wraps itself. And then I just continue to wrap it so it will stay. And now I actually have a coiled bead.
How neat. And those would make great earrings right there.
Absolutely. I've actually done that with this. I've taken, this is brass wire and peach moonstone. And I put a coiled component, I call them components, coiled component with a peach moonstone on each side, and looped it, and now I can make earrings out of that. I can add more pieces to this, make it a bracelet.
Look at that. Is that fabulous?
I can add more coils to it.
Plain.
These coiled components are really an amazing design tool.
Well, let's see some of the other things you have. Can we maybe pull up some Cynthia's pieces on the, she has a couple of pieces. Maybe we can bring those up on the monitor. Now tell us about this piece here.
This is, I'm actually wearing this piece tonight. This is a Byzantine chainmail necklace. It is.
And you make that from scratch, right?
I do.
Oh,
I do.
my goodness,
I
my
do.
goodness.
I actually cut the rings.
Wow.
And then put the rings in a Byzantine pattern. There are many, many patterns for chainmail, but this particular one is Byzantine. And what I will do is I will put rings together, I will flop them, I will turn them, and put a couple more rings together. And following the Byzantine pattern, I created this necklace.
Beautiful.
It was all just wire to begin with.
I love the way it's longer and, you know, at the base of that. Now, how do you measure everything piece out all the little wires and before you start to link them together, or?
Well, I have a pretty good approximation of what 1 inch will require. How many rings would be 1 inch? And I keep a graph of that, actually a spreadsheet of that, so I don't know that offhand.
Okay.
So I know that a 16 gauge wire ring that is 8 millimeters around, 10 of them, and I don't know that this is true, but I know that 10 of them will make an inch.
Okay.
So I know if I want a 24-inch necklace, I have to come up with a minimum of 240 rings.
Wow. You must really watch a lot of TV.
No, I don't do rings with watching TV. I do the winding.
Now,
but I
do
won't
you do them the same way on a needle? Would you use a needle and then cut it?
I use a mandrel. The needles,
Okay.
because they're metal, they don't cut so easily because you actually have to cut. Like if we look at this right here, you actually have to cut the rings down here. So it's not so easy to do that on wire, so I might do it on wood.
All right, but you wrap it first and then you cut it.
Yes.
That's how you get them perfect.
Yes.
I see. Now, see, this is so interesting. And now tell me about this piece.
Now what this is
that
the
looks
same.
twisted or something.
Exactly. This is the same as this, except I twisted 2 pieces of wire together.
Can you show us that?
Well, actually, I do it with a drill.
Oh, okay.
I put one end in a vise, and then I put the 2 wires together. The 2 wires are held together in a vise, and then the other end is attached to a chuck and a drill.
Oh, okay.
And I just drill it, and it twists until I like the twist until I choose the twist I like.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, you have some other pieces here. Let's talk a little bit about this. Now, you've said this is the Shabana here?
Cabochon.
Cabochon. Tell us a little bit about that one.
Well, this is,
I don't know if we can see that.
This is a howlite stone. And one of the reasons why I chose this was because it is dyed. I just love the colors. I had no idea that the green was as green as it was. So what I did was I bought this slab. I don't cut this. I have, but this is a purchased slab. So I cut the slab. I put a template on it in the oval shape, and I actually cut it out using a stone saw. And then I just continued to polish and shape it until its luster is the best it can be.
That is just, look at that. It's
and then I
just
polish
beautiful.
it.
Let me see if I can pick that up for you. That is just gorgeous.
How do you polish it?
How do you
polish
it
it
with the grinders or something? Or?
I put a polishing wheel on a grinder. It's actually not a grinding machine. It's actually the name eludes me right now, but it's a machine that is a grinder, and it's in different grades, so you can grade from very coarse to very fine.
Yes.
And then the very last wheel is the finest wheel, and you put a polishing buffer on that, and you use
a little compound down there,
yes.
right? A little compound, polishing compound. Now tell us about this stone here.
Okay, this is actually glass.
This is glass? Oh my gosh, look at that. I don't know if you can see that.
It's called a carousel cut.
That is beautiful. Look at that. It's like a diamond. Let me see if I can hold it for just a second.
You know, there's a good way to do that. Put it on in between your fingers.
That is just gorgeous.
And that started off as a cube.
And that's glass, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, here's the glass chunk, right?
Yep.
You would just take that. Now tell us about that. How do you do that?
You slice it down.
Slice and dice it.
Yeah, you slice it. Use a fastening machine, which actually cuts in angles. And you have to be very careful because you have to make sure that all the the carousel actually cuts in triangles. So you have to be very careful because each apex of the triangle has to meet exactly. Otherwise, the light is not carried through the stone.
That is gorgeous. That is just gorgeous, Cynthia. This is beautiful. Now, we've got at the front of this, maybe we can look at this. I don't know if we can zoom in on these pieces here.
Okay.
And talk about these.
This particular piece is copper, again, and this is called the Egyptian coil.
I love that.
And basically, it's
really a new popular for something that's so old, it's a very popular turn right now.
Absolutely.
You see that in a lot of the more modern pieces right now.
It's beautiful. And I think it's because it's so intricate that it has become popular, but it is an ancient pattern, actually.
Now, tell us a little bit about how did you learn to do this stuff? I mean, was this something, you said you did beading, but how did you actually learn to do the metal work and that kind of thing?
Well, actually, a few years ago, I heard about a club here in Brevard County called the Central Brevard Rock and Gem Club.
Well, a very popular, very, very popular.
And I had heard about the club. I had actually visited the club a few years back when I was living in California, and always said that when the day comes that I leave California, I'm going to come back to Brevard County so I can work with this club. And it is a group of true artists who basically donate their skills and teach people how to do this work.
Wow.
So you join the club as a yearly membership, and they have open workshops 3 nights a week, 3 nights and Sundays. And for a minimal fee, you can come in and work with these artists who are happy to teach you their craft.
Well, I did join for a short time, and my schedule just couldn't permit it, and I am going to do this again. It's like one of my favorite things to do, and I worked with the cabochons, right? That's what they're called, cabochon?
Cabochon.
Cabochon. That was the first thing I learned, and, I went a couple of days, and then I just couldn't do it anymore, but I am going to try to get back into it, because you learn so much. Here's some pieces here that are very interesting. Let's talk a little bit about these. I don't know if I can zoom. Can we pull these up a little bit? And maybe I can move them here for you. Talk about that a little bit. Now, these are twisted wires on here.
Well,
right?
there's some that are flat, and there's some that are twisted, and there's some that's actually half round. So it's flat on the bottom and half round on the top.
The wire itself is.
Yes.
This is just beautiful. I love the intricacy of this.
And this is a carnelian.
And you have to see it really close up to really appreciate the twisting of the wire and the actual movement of that. And what kind of stone is that?
That's a carnelian, and I actually cut and cabbed that piece and then wrapped it in gold fill.
Now this piece here,
this is petrified palm wood.
Wow!
See the polka dots?
Look at that.
Now I had no idea that there were polka dots in it until I started working with the stone and actually with the wood. I thought it was a stone, and then I started working with it, and it revealed itself to me.
Wow! And now what's this piece here? Tell us about that.
This is turquoise, both blue turquoise and purple turquoise.
Really? I've never seen purple turquoise.
And if you look at the back, you can see that it's wrapped. You can see that it's wrapped to be held together.
Yeah.
And then I've accented the stamen of it with Swarovski crystal and Swarovski pearls.
Very beautiful. Wow.
So it's a pendant.
Wow. Can we see some of the other pieces that she's done? Maybe we can bring some of those up on the monitor. We've got, I know, quite a few other pieces. What is this now?
Now this bracelet is a bracelet that matches the coral and turquoise. This is African turquoise, it's green, and Italian coral, which is orange.
Wow, that's gorgeous.
And if you notice, it's got a coil component, and also brass, vermeil spacers in between it.
And the next piece?
This
that's a fun one.
It is. This is actually all glass. And you notice the round pieces, the round pink pieces?
Yes.
Those are antique buttons.
Oh, how
from an
fun.
antique button factory in the 1800s.
Oh, that's wonderful. That is wonderful, Cynthia. I love the little butterfly on there, too. You kind of got a combination of things.
That was a button also. This is a Viking knit necklace. And now this is sterling silver wire that I actually knit into that cord.
Wow.
It starts off pretty thick, but I pull it through draw plates, and the draw plates make it smaller and tighter.
Oh.
And the rose on it is actually Hill Tribe rose, Hill Tribe sterling silver. It's made in India.
Wow, that's gorgeous.
And this is a bracelet. It's all glass. It's all glass flowers. And each piece is wired individually. It's called Tropical Chain. And I wire each flower onto a larger loop.
That looks like it would take forever to do.
You must have patience for this work, Padawan.
Yes, I can see that.
This is my newest design.
This is a little different thing, huh?
This is my trademarked light links. And what this is actually chains of glass, metal. I've used many things in this. I've used onyx in this.
Wow.
And it's actually component attached to component attached to component. So this can grow into a beaded curtain.
That's what I was going to say. It looks like a curtain for a room. That would be fabulous for a room. Wow.
Or you could take a piece off and use it as an earring.
Oh, how wonderful. Now, this is one you brought with you.
Yes, this is Murano glass, African trade beads, pearls, and copper.
Beautiful. Really nice.
Now, I've turned these into wall hangings.
And now this piece here is, what is, tell us about that.
This is one of my favorites.
Oh, mine too. I love that.
This is antique French jet, which is glass. It's not the natural jet, but it's antique French jet. This is a 1800s piece of, the beads are from the 1800s. And I actually, in my vintage jewelry collecting, have collected this many vintage jet and turned it into a necklace with Bali silver.
Wow. Unbelievable. And this piece?
This is a mother of the bride piece. This is all pearls and Swarovski crystal.
Oh, gosh, that must be beautiful and to see it up close.
It's beautiful. It was a gorgeous piece.
Wow. Cynthia, this has just been so much fun. Thank you so much for being on
you're
our
welcome.
show.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you next time with more focus. So until then, good night.
3 children die every minute because they don't have access to clean drinking water. Let's do what it takes to save a child.
Cancer. It's a dark word. When it's directed at you or a loved one, it can turn your world upside down and leave you in a scary, lonely place. But there is a way to bring in some light. The Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's Light the Night walks raise funds for cancer research and services for patients and their families. Come experience the warm glow of a caring community. We all know someone impacted by cancer. It's time to walk the talk. Register today at lightthenight.org.